Now it's time for the Eric Prydz Pryda 15 EP, Volume 2, as I've already mentioned a couple of times. So I hope that some of you people may watch it later, or then of course also on YouTube. So as I've already mentioned, I did a bit of research on this one because I saw my latest, or maybe some of you also saw it on YouTube, my latest or my kind of last review. And I didn't pay too much attention on when the tracks were released and everything. And I wanted to do this a bit more focused on the tracks themselves, because what's so interesting about Eric Prydz is that his release schedule is very unregular. Maybe if we put it very in neutral words. So the first track on this 8-track EP, so the volume 2 of his Pryda 15, so he's celebrating 15 years of Pryda, is the track Sonar. So and Sonar was Eric Prydz has a huge fan base basically, and fans tend always to give the tracks IDs, so a name for the ID. So because Eric Prydz has so much unreleased music, we can actually hear that, see that very well. So yeah, the first track is Sonar, and as I've already mentioned, there's basically so much like such a huge diversity in his tracks, and we can hear that very well. And so Eric Prydz tracks are maybe, they are progressive of course, but very individual. Sometimes they really take some time to really get the spin they really deserve. And this track was also played already in 2017 on Beats 1 episode 15, and I remember that very well because I've listened to all the Eric Prydz Beats 1 episodes, and some of the tracks are really haven't been played for a long time. So, and now there comes the bass line up for the number 1, Sonar. We can already hear the bass line very well, and yeah, so it's really a fantastic track to start the EP with. Yeah, I will come back over on Instagram in a bit, but I hope that you'll enjoy this Pryda EP here with me, because he really came up with wicked sounds that basically only him can come up with. So yeah, I want just to quickly check whether it's on, so when this was played first time, because what's so interesting about it is that when I was checking the IDs on 1001 Tracklist yesterday, I realized that many of these tracks are not tagged properly yet. So it's basically so the track is out already since Friday, but the problem is that I couldn't actually find it on 1001 Tracklist. I would have really to type in I have to type in the ID name. So this is very unusual for a producer, because it seems like that they haven't really haven't really completed everything yet. Yeah, this track was played at minute 20 and was called back then Sonar ID 01. So when talking about the ID in general, I would also refer here to the Eric Prydz subreddit, and there are all the fans basically coming together. And the EP is really for many a masterpiece. So it's one of the best EPs that he's ever released. And I'll play this and talk a bit about like my own opinion about it. And I believe everybody can make up their own kind of opinion about it. I believe, in my opinion, it's also very fantastic. But if I, for example, compare this to the Pryda EPs 4 years ago, Pryda 10 back then, I enjoyed it, I don't know, personally a bit more. I mean, I still enjoy it, I still loved his music, and it's very, you know, enjoyable to listen to, and especially I believe the Riddle is my favorite, and then later the the Riddle and Humlan I believe are my favorites. So, and one is a bit rougher, I would say. But we'll check this. Kaio is watching, thank you so much for joining over on Facebook. And yeah, hope you enjoyed Sonar, and it has really a weird, you know, mix of the sounds. It's really coming up, you know, with some, I can't even describe them. It's so, it's neither progressive nor deep. It's really something very individual, something that only he came up with, and we can hear this very well. And I believe that's the magic around his music. So that really, you cannot really stick him into one drawer or another procedure. So one pot or the other. So it's really something individual, and he really stands for himself. And that's also what his music says, I would say. So the next track is called From Within, and it was called like this from the beginning, so there's not really an ID name for this. But this track was already played in 2012, so we'll have then music that was even released even earlier or even more back in time. And this was for the first time played, or the last time I believe, on his Epic Radio podcast, because, you know, he not only has the Beats One podcast for 20 episodes, but also, well, I believe a bit more even, but also he had his Pryda, his Epic radio show. Epic stands for Eric Prydz in Concert, and now he's basically focused around these Epic 5.0 or 6.0 shows now that he's doing. And I was even talking, maybe some of you saw it on my Insta story, with Dennis about it. Dennis, aka Diane. He's a producer from Vienna, producer and DJ, and yeah, we're talking about it. And he said we were both saying that Eric Prydz is losing a lot of money on his shows, but you know, he's just so you know, he's so driven by the result. You know, and this one cube or I don't know, round kind of, I don't know, ball that he was in at Tomorrowland Weekend 1. This was absolutely fantastic to look. So really some eye candy. There's something that's totally out of this world, I would say. And yeah, From Within is actually, so we can hear very well that the track is 7 years old, because maybe he, I don't know whether he was still, you know, mixing it a bit or not. On today's standard, maybe he doesn't need to. But it's a very progressive track. It really reminds me of the rather older Pryda tracks. Yeah, from his Pryda, I believe I still have the album over there. Yeah, Eric Prydz Presents Pryda, the CD. Meanwhile, Caleb is also watching. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you enjoy From Within. So it really took a long time to get this released, and it's very interesting to see that it's here now. So we can, yeah, I believe it's called From Within because the sample says it. So I believe he's recording also the vocal, like Vox FXs himself. So he's, you know, very individual when it's about that. And yeah, I love this kind of deepish bass line. Wow. And yeah, it's not really something, a track you can freak out to. I would say it's a very chill track. Wow, and I really love the bass line, how it, you know, goes here and there. Very cool. Meanwhile, George is watching. Thank you so much for joining over on Instagram. And the next track that is on the EP is called The Riddle. This is one that goes, like the outro goes now for, I believe, over 1.5 minutes. So it really takes the time to finish the tracks. And yeah, and of course on Spotify you can only find the original mixes. So they go really for 7, 8, and 6 minutes. And yeah, so it's really something to enjoy for yourself. And you can really get fully engaged with the full track. So this is what I love very much about Eric Prydz. Yeah, up next, The Riddle, as I've already mentioned. I believe one of my favorites, my personal favorites of this EP. So it reminds me very much of Viro. So just like comment on the Eric Prydz Subreddit was already mentioned it. And I believe he mentioned this already 2 or 3 years ago when it was played for the last time. Because it was called back then the Montreux Jazz ID. So Montreux Jazz seems like the venue where he played it for the first time. And I'm not sure whether I already dropped the... no, I haven't dropped the From Within link, so I would have to link it now. And then I'll link also the Riddle, the next track. So yeah, all in all, I mean, like, I enjoy the EP a lot, but, you know, maybe too little of a hardcore Pryda fan, although I am a hardcore Pryda fan, but maybe I'm not showing it as much, because, you know, I'm not a huge fan of IDs, and oh yeah, we heard the typical Pryda fix in the background. So I have here a note that it was released for the first time. I played for the first time at the Epic Radio podcast number 7 back in 2013. So we can already hear as well that this is absolutely a long time. So it took 6 years to get this released. Actually insane. We can hear the Pryda fixes here very well. So it seems like he only came up with these ones. And we have this typical Pryda singer, so you can really go fully Pryda mode on this one, as I mentioned it a couple of times. Bassline is absolutely fantastic. So you can just, you know, stick yourself on the bassline. The drop goes for exactly 2.5 minutes. So we have a short breakdown of 30 seconds in between, but the drop goes for 2.5 minutes, and this is something typical for Pryda. So the whole track is 9 minutes long, so it really takes the time, you know, to enjoy it for him and for us. So it's absolutely cool. And we hear this typical out from Power Drive. He used the same kind of fixes. He came up with a new sound. So he's really like he is kind of progressive. So he really takes the time to build up the elements. Something that all Prydateers will know, of course, but I like to stress that. So the synthy that he kind of built up over the last 1.5 minutes on the breakdown is now also fully in the drop. So absolutely great work here by Eric, and you know, what will I say much about it, I believe. So as I've already mentioned, the next track I'm going to play is Humlan. That was previously known as Queen 2010 ID. But maybe let's finish this one here. Absolutely wonderful work here by Eric Prydz, the Riddle, aka Montreux Jazz ID. Finally released for us to enjoy. Yeah. I also like the outro that's really taking the time to finish the track, also without the beat. So cool. Yeah. Up next, I've already mentioned Humlan, or Humlan, and this was called the Queen 2010 ID. So it seems like it was played for the first time already back in 2010. I believe I couldn't find the link, but it was played already once again on the Beats One Eric Prydz show number 15 in 2017. And when I was looking for it on 1001 Tracklist, it is not. Yeah, that's why I couldn't find this on 1001 Tracklist, because this is not even tagged as an individual ID. So I really had to look up, you know, the Eric Prydz subreddit for the Queen 2010 ID, and then I looked through when it was played, and then I found on the subreddit then it was played on the Beats One show number 15 in 2017. I looked up the tracklist on the 1001 Tracklist, and I see there that the Queen 2010 ID is black. And it's not red. So when something is black on the 1001 Tracklist, means that it's not having its own the track is not having its own page, you know, its own sub page for the track. So it's really something for the connoisseurs, as we say in French, really for the lovers, you know. And it has really kind of a jungle adventure vibe to it, as someone mentioned already. So absolutely, you know, I believe my favorite one. I believe the most genius track on the or genuine track on the EP. And someone was even asking on the subreddit, you know, where's my Humlan squad at, something like this, because many people love it so much. Known as the Queen 2010 ID, and it's really like I love these kind of whatever that is. I don't know, xylophone or simply some bells that are playing there. Absolutely cool. And here comes the drop. I love the kick because the kick is very clicky. That's what, you know, gives it you know, the room for these kind of bells to play. So absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. There's nothing else I can say about this track, because like production-wise, it's so, you know, out of this world. Really, I'm in space, you know, when listening to this, basically, or in a jungle. And so I'm happy that I can, you know, tell you so much about it. So I'm way better prepared than for the last review. That's why I'm very happy about it. And now there comes another bass line on minute 5 and something, 5:15 I would say, for the next drop. Reminds me very much of Bussen. Bussen had also like a fantastic second layer on the drop. So great job here, Eric, great job. I hope that one day I will see you on a Holosphere show. It would be a huge dream of mine. Somehow it never worked out that I could go to London when he was playing, or Tomorrowland. This is an absolutely fantastic track. Nothing I can add to this. Yeah, 4 more tracks to go on this EP. I believe, yeah. So you should definitely check out the whole EP. It's absolutely wonderful to listen to, and really a journey through Eric's music. And I really like that he really closes, you know, he gives the track also a great frame, you know. He starts off with an intro, and then he finishes, you know, with the same synth that was in the drop, and then just, you know, without the bass line, and, you know, really takes the time to finish the track, and then he filters this out a bit at the end. Absolutely fantastic. Also, like, production-wise, arrangement-wise, he's such a genius, you know. And sometimes, you know, it's the little things, you know, that also gets you very excited for a track, and this time it's both the big and the little things, I would say. Up next is the track Legacy, and the track Legacy is called Sonar ID 02. So this was the other Sonar IP that was played, and Legacy is kind of a tough, I don't know how to phrase this, a tough name for me for a track, because I already got the Legacy track by Eric Prydz, for example, by Nicky Romero, or that also Pryda did an amazing remix of this, by the way, a couple of years ago, and also one of my favorite German rappers named also track Legacy. Mola is watching over on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining. Just in time for Pryda Legacy. I'm just, you know, in my review of Eric Prydz Pryda 15 Volume 2 EP. So great that you tuned in, Mauricio, and let's check it out. What's so fantastic about Legacy? And this was played both on the Beats 1 Eric Prydz show 13 and 18. So in 2017 and I believe even in 2018. So this one is a bit more on the radar for the Eric Prydz fans. Yeah. So the intro is already 2 minutes long, so this is very rare nowadays. And then he comes up with this yet another great bass line and violins. You can hear this very well here. Wow. So the mix of the violins and the bass line is something out of this world. Like, I'm speechless. I'm totally speechless, and I'm rarely speechless. And it sounds so good. How does he do that? I'm so surprised. Absolutely great EP so far. Yeah. So maybe I can read some more shoutouts from, not shoutouts, I mean like comments. Yeah. So, you know, so someone's right, for example, where's my Humlan clan? So then someone was saying that he removed a note somewhere. Some of the tracks were bringing him back to Holosphere London. One track slaps very hard. So yeah, some would play a track for 20 minutes on repeat. So they're really into it, and I'm into it as well. So, by the way, Humlan means bumblebee in Swedish. I didn't even know. Wow. Cool. So he's also released, like he's also naming tracks after an animal. So, and then up onto the last drop of Legacy. Wow, also yet another very deep one. So yeah, a bit unexpected, but still fits very well. Also like with these kind of, you know, drums and I believe it was bongos or whatever there is. So very cool to listen to with the hi-hat as well. Fully Pryda. So absolutely fantastic track. So, and yeah, up next, there we have the track Villa Mercedes. And this track is, I believe, the oldest one, at least from what I found. So let me just start playing it. Did I drop Legacy? Yeah. So Legacy was known as the Sonar ID 02, and Villa Mercedes was already known like this since the beginning. Yeah. And it has absolutely fantastic vocal effects. Yeah, it was known as Villa Mercedes 2009 ID because the first time he played it was at the Villa Mercedes club in Athens back on, I believe, the 7th of April 2009. 2009. The track is over 10 years old and got released just this Friday. And he played this track already also, like, it's not the only time he played it also at Cafe Mambo in 2015 and back in August 2015, and it was then rebroadcasted on Beats One show number 1, because number 1, I remember that very well, was the first hour was fantastic. He played also tracks from his upcoming album and also these tracks, like 1 hour of Cafe Mambo. The Cafe Mambo set. Yeah, Louis watching, aka Stevie, thank you so much for joining. Also here. I'm on to the last 3 tracks now of today. The Pryda 15 EP Volume 2. An absolutely fantastic track, but we can hear that it's a bit of an older sound design, I would say. It doesn't mean it's bad, you know, it's just, you know, it's a bit different from, for example, Legacy, what we just heard. So, or Humlan, that has a very clicky kick. Although it's from 2000, or the Riddle, something that had a very clicky kick. So, what reminded me very much of it. So, yeah, so absolutely fantastic track to really, yeah. Sounds like an 80s synth. You're right, yeah. Maybe that's why it sounds so kind of different. Yeah, this part is also very fantastic. It's mixing up, you know, the melody here a bit. Yeah. So yeah. So So then actually, it's I believe the shortest folder track. It has 6 minutes, and then it kind of fades out into an outro. So it's getting quieter. So it's really filtering out the whole track. But the vocal effects is so fascinating. I'm interested whether Eric is singing it himself. It sounds absolutely, very unique, and that was Villa Mercedes. And up next, 2 tracks left on this EP. They're Hiidden, or the Hiidden, however you wanna pronounce it. The Hiidden was called the High Ibiza ID, I believe. Yeah, High Ibiza ID. And this is the roughest track of the EP. Very interesting. This is the second to last. So, yeah. And I enjoyed it. I believe. Yeah, I believe one of my favorites. I believe as well. So this was played, as I mentioned, on High Ibiza. So it was one of the tracks in 2017 that he played a lot. So he played it at High on Ibiza. He played it at Tomorrowland in 2017, and on the Beats One Eric Prydz show as well, episode 14 and 18. So we can already hear that from the synthi. It's the roughest of all of them, I believe. So we can already. This is something, a sound that's more familiar with Pryda. This part here slaps very, very hard. Aggressive synthi, very aggressive kick. I would say almost a techno kick. I would say. So very, very cool. And then the hi-hat. So a bit less of the progressive sounds. It would be a Cyrus D track, I would say. Very, very cool. And the breakdown also kind of stays on the same line. You hear it very well. Still this dark atmospheres, a lot of hi-hats. So there's basically a lot of going on in this breakdown, which is rather rare for Eric Prydz, I would say, because his breakdowns are rather calmed down, I would say, usually. So at least we heard it on the previous tracks. Wow. I'm so surprised of this track that actually he released such a rough one, because we heard already very melancholic track. Villa Mercedes was one, for example, or Legacy, or Humlan was not as aggressive. So yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, so that's that. That's the Hiidden or the Hiidden. I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah. So Matt is also joined. Thank you so much for joining. Yeah. Interestingly, it's only called Hiidden and not the Hiidden. I don't know why it came up with Hiidden. But I don't know. Yeah, no, it's called Hiidden. That's alright. So yeah, and we also hear the outro is also very, very slow, and actually kind of also fades out with a filter. So yeah. So Matt, thank you very much for joining for the last track of this EP, The Drive. Yeah, otherwise written here the Hiidden. Actually, it's only called Hiidden, but whatever. Okay. I'll change that. So yeah, The Drive slaps very hard. It's one on the Eric Prydz subreddit already mentioned, and it was called the Mambo 2015 ID. It was also played at Cafe Mambo in 2015, so Beats 1 episode 1, and it was a track before Villa Mercedes. So he was playing The Drive, and then he was playing Villa Mercedes, and then other tracks. And to me, this is the most melancholic track of the EP, and it's a great kind of way to finish this EP. So, and yeah, it fits very well to the vibe of Coffee Mambo, also with this guitar, mandolin, whatever that is playing here. The track goes also on for 6 minutes, so very, very long one. Again, 1 minute intro, very enjoyable. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic, and you should really like listen to it closely and really, you know, get the magic behind the synthes, because this is basically what Eric is so phenomenal at. I would say it's really, you know, building up atmospheres with synthes. This is very, very unique. Also this part here with this little sub kick there, and just playing out the mandolin melody, absolutely sick. Yeah, so let's head to the last drop here. Eric Prydz, The Drive. And it really track to drive to, I believe. Even like I can listen to that in the car for sure. Yeah, that's that. That's the last track. So there's one more EP coming up, the Volume 3 EP. I'm very interested how many tracks will there be on, whether it will be again 8 or 10 or 12. Because I believe 4 years ago we had 4, 6 and 12. I believe it was back then. Now we have 6 and 8 already. So we'll see what Volume 3 will bring to us. So thank you very much for watching. Also for these guys on YouTube.